Hello, folks. So now as we enter Module 4, we're going to be introducing to you probably one of the most important ideas in macroeconomics, and this is the idea of the multiplier. And the idea is that if you have an initial shock or initial disturbance of some sort, we often refer to government spending, but it's not exclusively government spending. But anyway, if we have an initial macroeconomic shock, that shock can be amplified or multiplied. It can be actually become a little bit bigger than, depending on the circumstances, than that original shock. That is the idea behind the Keynesian multiplier. This was one of the biggest ideas that was introduced by John Maynard Keynes and the Keynesian tradition, and it's an idea that is still very, very important today. So now, to help you sort of visualize this, we have a nice tool, and you'll see this in your book, but we also have here as you can see, an Excel-based tool. So now here on the of this graph on the horizontal axis, we have, you may remember the concept of the output gap. The output gap is the difference between what the actual level of output and potential output or full employment output, but we're measuring it as percent. So let's say that if full employment output is, let's say, 16 trillion, and the output is above that by 160 billion, that means we say that the output gap is 1%. So now, so here we have this, and here we have the sum of the components: consumption, investment, government, exports minus imports. And you may remember that this black line here, it is actually a 45-degree line. It's that line along which GDP is equal to the sum of the components. And this red line here, this reflects the consumption function. What it tells you, the slope of this line is the marginal propensity to consume. So let's say if the slope of this line is, for example, 0.6, it means that for every additional dollar that people earn, they will be they will be consuming 60 cents, say. So now, the idea is that the ripple effect of the economy, you have an initial disturbance, let's say an increase in government spending of, let's say, 160 billion, which is 1% of potential output, and you'll see how that reaches people's pockets. So there are successive rounds. In that first round, people spend 0.6 of that, then the second round, 0.6 times 0.6 of that, the third round, 0.6 times 0.6 times 0.6 of that, and ultimately we will see here that if we have this increase in demand, we'll see this upward shift, and I'm going to try and do that right now. There we go. And you can see that, that the net result of that here, after all these successive rounds, is that our GDP has increased not by 1%, but by more than 1%. So this is this multiplier effect, that in the absence of certain other conditions, just a very simple analysis here, the ripple effect through the economy, the amplification. And we can do it on the other end. So you can see over here in our second alternative, we decrease in demand. So what happens if you have what they call an austerity shock? And once again, that's going to be symmetric, 1%. Okay, and you can see here the shift goes down, and you're going to see we have a decrease in output. And because of that ripple effect, that decrease in output is by more than 1%. You can read that off the graph here. So in any event, we hope that this little tool will help you understand this very important concept, the multiplier concept, the amplification of an initial disturbance throughout the economy.